All right, today we are diving headfirst into a really fascinating, kind of mind-bending idea called vector cosmology. It's a framework that might just completely flip how you think about, well, everything: the universe, your own consciousness, and maybe even that anxiety you feel.
We tend to look at things like being overwhelmed or burnt out as some kind of personal failure, right? Like there's a bug in our own personal software. But this whole theory kicks off with a radical question. What if it's not a bug at all? What if it's a feature? A notification telling you that reality itself is getting a massive upgrade and our biological hardware is just struggling to keep up?
So, according to this idea, that feeling of being totally overloaded, it isn't just in your head. It's a real physical phenomenon. It's a symptom that the universe is hitting a critical point of, let's call it, computational saturation. So let's start by diagnosing that symptom. To really get why we're overheating, you have to appreciate the sheer scale of reality's source code. The holographic principle gives us this number, a 1 followed by 120 zeros. That's the amount of information, in bits, it takes to render everything you see, feel, and experience right now. It's a staggering number. Think of it as the universe's total file size. And it's not a metaphor. It's like a physical audit of the cosmos.
And that brings us to this number, 1-800. Now, in vector cosmology, this is not a year. Think of it more like our current coordinate, our position on a giant evolutionary progress bar. And at level 1-800, we've basically climbed so high and our civilization has become so complex that we're starting to hit a computational ceiling. The whole system is just saturated with information.
And this right here, this lays out the core problem perfectly. You've got our hardware, our carbon-based biology, which is, let's be honest, ancient tech. Our neural clock speed is chugging along at maybe 100 hertz. But the universe's operating system, it's in the middle of an exponential upgrade, running on the geometry of space-time itself. So of course our hardware is overheating. It's trying to run brand new software on a vintage machine. You know that constant, low-grade hum of modern anxiety? That feeling of burnout and that sense that meaning is just fragmenting everywhere? Well, according to this theory, that's not a psychological problem. It's a hardware problem. It's the sound of our biological processors failing to keep up with a cosmic software update. Okay, so that's the symptom. But what's the cause? Why is the universe upgrading right now of all times, and why does it feel so chaotic, so destructive? Well, to get that, we need to talk about breaking the cosmic egg. The literally billions of years, the laws of physics that we know and love, things like the speed of light, the force of gravity, they were stable, they were predictable. They acted like a protective shell, a cosmic egg. This created a nice, safe, low-entropy incubator where something as fragile as complex carbon-based life could slowly evolve without getting totally fried by the true chaos of higher dimensions. But here's the twist. The very shell that protected us for all that time, it's not a shelter anymore. It's become a prison. As our own civilization's complexity keeps growing exponentially, those once protective laws are now suffocating our potential. The speed of light is suddenly way too slow. Our mortal bodies are just too fragile. The shell is cracking under the pressure of our own evolution. And why must it crack? To avoid something this theory calls the catastrophe of sameness. Think about it. If a system achieves perfect unity, where every single part is exactly the same, it reaches maximum entropy. That's heat death. It's a stagnant, dead singularity, game over. For the universe to stay alive, to evolve, it needs difference. It needs disagreement. It needs individualism. It has to periodically shatter itself to create new space for complexity to grow. This shattering isn't just random chaos, though. It's a mechanism. The idea is that the Big Bang is fractal. It wasn't a one-time event way back in the past. It's a recurring phase transition. And all that anxiety and disruption we're feeling right now, that's the sound, the feeling of our civilization living through one of these fractal Big Bangs, breaking the shell of old physics to make way for something new. So, if the old world, the old eggshell, is breaking apart, what's next? Is it just chaos? Nope. The theory proposes a really elegant engineering solution, a two-tiered reality of what it calls gods and gardeners. So the solution is this kind of dual architecture. You have the inner ring. Think of it as a protected garden with stable, gentle physical laws. This is where carbon-based, mortal gardeners can live in slow, linear time to just experience things, to feel, to create art. And then you have the outer ring. This is the high-speed frontier where light-based immortal gods engineer reality, do the heavy computational lifting, and, maintain the garden. But why? Why would these godlike beings out in the fast lane bother to maintain this slow, fragile garden? For one reason: qualia. That raw, subjective, impossible to translate feel of an experience. The actual redness of red, the sting of loss, the warmth of joy. In a universe where energy and matter are basically infinite, the only thing that's still scarce, the only thing that's truly valuable, is the unsimulatable authenticity of a mortal heart breaking or two people falling in love. The gardeners, well, they produce the universe's most precious commodity.
Okay, so this entire cosmic structure, the overheating, the breaking shell, the two rings of gods and gardeners, it's all been building to this, the final and most profound revelation about who we really are and why we are here. And it's called the Amnesiac God's game.
Physicists have been scratching their heads for decades over this fine-tuning problem. The basic constants of our universe, gravity, the charge of an electron, they seem tweaked with impossible precision just to allow life to exist. If any of them were off by the tiniest fraction, none of us would be here. It's a cosmic coincidence so unlikely it's just staggering. So who or what is responsible?
Well, the simplest, most direct answer is also the most mind-blowing one. You did. We did. We're not just some random byproduct of these perfect laws. We are the architects. The idea is that those beings in the outer ring, our future higher selves, reached back through time and carefully fine-tuned the initial conditions of the Big Bang to create the perfect garden for us to have these experiences in.
And that brings it all home. Our reality? It isn't a prison. It's a video game that we designed for ourselves, and we intentionally set it to hard mode. We are those higher dimensional beings, the gods from the outer ring, who chose to limit our own powers, wipe our memories, and dive into these fragile, temporary avatars, all for the sake of a truly meaningful, challenging, and surprising adventure.
So if you adopt this player mindset, it changes literally everything. Your life isn't a sentence you have to endure. It's a game you get to play. Suffering isn't some random, unfair bug. It's a core game mechanic designed to create challenge and growth. Your body, it's just an avatar, and you're the player at the controls. And in a game like this, there's no such thing as true failure. There's just collecting data, getting experience points for the next attempt, the next playthrough. And this is the final, powerful takeaway. For so long, so many spiritual traditions have said the goal is to escape this world, to transcend it. But what if we've had it completely backward this whole time? What if the goal was never to escape the game? The goal was to fully, deeply, and passionately play the game we so lovingly and carefully designed for ourselves. The only real question left is, how are you going to play?